Okay, so we have about 2 minutes to go. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, let me see a feedback on the chat panel. Please, if you can see my screen, type a Y in on the chat panel. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. All right, so I think we can start now. All right, so last week was, let me say, was a good week for us, because we were able to catch some pips in the market, and just as I said, once we hit the 200 mark, I will start a weekend analysis, and then truly I've been able to exactly do as I said. So I'd like us to go through some few pairs. We just go through about 6 pairs, and then we just hope for success this week. So when I'm done, if you have any pair, you can just type it in the chat box, and then I see if I can see anything clear, or if I can see a clear setup in the pair you've provided. Okay, so I'd like us to start with Euro USD. So Euro USD, we actually doing a top-down analysis for you to get the overall order flow or the trend of the market. So always I do a top-down analysis. I don't really do it always, but for the weekly and then the daily time frame, I don't leave without looking at these time frames. But for the monthly, I either group the monthly every month or every 3/4 of the month. And please, if you still have not muted, please, I will encourage you that you mute yourself. I want us to have a very smooth session, and then we are out of this place. All right. So as I said, for the monthly, I normally go to the monthly at the end of the month or the quarter of every month. But for the weekly and daily, I look at the weekly and then the daily very frequently, because I always prefer swing trading than any other form of trading. That is why I react that way on the market. All right. So when we look at Euro USD right now, the overall order flow of Euro USD on a higher time frame is a bearish trend. All right, because price hasn't really broken a structure to the upside. It's still making higher lows and then lower lows. All right, so on the monthly we could see that price has failed to make a lower failed to break a structure. All right, so it failed to bounce off this area. That tells us that price still have the potential to move to the upside, to the downside. All right, because we have some liquidity to be formed. We have some liquidity to be formed, or market makers to get some liquidity here, and also we have liquidity here too as well. So higher time frame, I'm bearish on Euro USD. So as you can see, there has been this zone is also a zone I'm really looking at, that if price should reverse, it should be able to get into the zone. So let's quickly go to the weekly to and see what is happening. Okay, so this is the weekly. This is what is happening on the weekly. So on the weekly too, as we can see, price is still forming higher lows and then lower lows. All right, so we have some liquidity in here that definitely price will grab that liquidity. You see, price is trying to get it. It hasn't really fully grabbed it. All right, it hasn't really fully grabbed it. So you're expecting that price will get back here because we have a zone here. I'm expecting price to this zone here. I'm really expecting price to, if there will be any reversal, price will have to come and then fill the zone. That is my expectation, that price will come and then fill the zone before it reverses to the upside, maybe to come to the side and then before it continues. Because I mean the overall bearishness or the overall order flow is bearish. Yeah, the overall order flow is bearish. So that is it for the weekly. Let's quickly move to the daily to and see. Okay, so this is actually what I'm seeing on a daily. So on a daily, as you can see, we saw a little bit of consolidation in here. Price took out this liquidity. Price took out this liquidity. So right after price taking out this liquidity, we could see that the last down close candle prior to this up movement, price came back to the last down close candle to respect it. So at the moment, price is trying to push up. As you can see, we have liquidity in here, we have liquidity in here, we have liquidity in here, and then we can see liquidity voice too as well, a very huge liquidity voice in here. So on a daily, as this action has happened, I'm actually expecting price to fill up this liquidity, then if possible move into this zone before it will reverse. Yes, so even though on a higher time frame we are bearish, I'm expecting to see some little bit of retracement to fill this before we continue our bearish move. So that is it on the daily. So let's go to the 4-hour time frame to and see what is happening in there. So that is how you do analysis. All right, you check the macro, view, as in the bigger frame, the bigger picture of the market. Is it bearish or bullish? All right, so always you need to look at what the higher time frame is doing. That will guide you to know what to do on a lower time frame. If you just get up and then look at the lower time frames, you always be taken out or you always get bent, because the higher time frame tells it all. So as we can see on the daily, this is what is happening on the daily. Previously, this is what happened here. Liquidity was taken out. Liquidity was taken out in here, and then price moved up. So it moved up to break structure to the upside, moved back into this area. So once it came back, it was not able to break this low. This low was not, price couldn't break this low. It just bounced off this other block you are seeing here, or the down close candle prior to the upside movement. So this is where price bounced up. And as you can see, there are so many liquidity voids, and then here liquidity voids and liquidity up there to be filled. There are so many buy side liquidity in here. So we have one here, one here, one here. So cases like this, market makers can easily draw to this liquidity, because at the end of the day, their sole aim is where is the next liquidity to be drawn. Their sole aim is where is the next liquidity to be drawn. And if it is very easy to get a particular liquidity at a level, why not they move to that place rather than going to a place where they find it difficult to break those lows and get a liquidity? Because at this zone it will be difficult for market makers to grab liquidity in here. Why? Because they've already grabbed this liquidity in here, making this place a high resistance area of liquidity. But this place is very obvious. So going into next week on the 4-hour time frame, I'm bullish on Euro USD. So what I will expect, so before I place my buy entry here, what I will expect to see is that price breaks the structure. So I'm expecting this to happen. If truly we are moving to the upside, I will expect that price will break the structure, come back for a retest, and then continue to move up to grab all these liquidities. So my first target, if this should happen, my first target is going to be this place. All right, my first target will be this place, which is about 70 pips. All right, and I mean 70 pips is cool. Those of you in my channel, you know how we do it. I mean, we don't go in for. I don't remember the last time posting a trade whereby the overall target of the trade was less than 40 pips or less than 50 pips. No, I always love to swing. So in as much as I love to swing, I always like to target high number of pips. Yeah, so that is how. Yeah, that is how I always. That is my objective on the market. So this will be my first target. If price gets here and then I see a reaction for a buy, then I'll target here too. So going into next week, that is my expectation on Euro USD. So let's quickly move to the next pair. When I'm done, I'll see if there is more time, and I'll just open up for, if you have any question, if you have any pair that you want us to look at, I'll quickly just look at it, and then we call it a day. So as you can see on GGA, I saw this last week. That was Friday, but because it was a Friday, that is this area. I really saw price. I really anticipated that price would bounce off this area, but because it was a Friday, I didn't want to post any signal in the page, because I mean Friday market is closing. So if I don't want us to be in a trade or be in a trade on Friday and move it in a weekend whereby we are not in deep profit. Yes, so that is why I didn't. But going into next week, I'll expect to see some sales here. Why? Because the overall order flow on GJ is bearish. All right. So as you can see, a price is in a very deep selling area. Price is in a very deep selling area. Sorry. Where, as you can see, these are all liquidity voids I'm expecting price to fill. All right. I'm expecting price to fill it either to this level or to this level. either to this level or to this level. All right, so looking at that area, so from here to here is about is about 700 pips. So I'm just hoping, and then I'm just observing to see how price will react going into next week, because where it is, so as you can see on the daily, price hasn't really broken structure to the upside. It is still making, it is still respecting the highs and then breaking the lows. So that tells us that we've entered into a bearish environment. So in this case, to be on a safer side, you look for sells. Yes, even though maybe lower time frames might be suggesting for buys. But one thing you should bear in mind is that these lower time frames sometimes are just retracements on the higher time frames. So if you take in such environment whereby the higher time frame is suggesting a sell, and then you take a buy position in a lower time frame, just bear in mind that it is just a retracement and that you shouldn't target high, or your target shouldn't be high. You should have a very short zone whereby once it get there, you just get out of the trade. Because once it's the overall trend is a sell, you are likely to be taken out if you hold it for long. So that is it on a daily. All right, so this is the 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, going into next week, for me to get a perfect entry here to sell to the downside, I will wait for price to break the structure. I'll be observing to see how price will react in this zone. Either you consolidate, sometimes you could consolidate before it breaks. So to be on a safer side, I'm going to wait for a break of this structure, a retest of it, and then I'll consider taking my sells. So by considering taking my sells, I'll go into a lower time frame, and I'll look for breaking market structures, and then a retest of that structure on the lower time frame before I take my sell. So that will be my confirmation. So my first target for this trade will be this area. So this area will be my first target. So looking at this from here, that amount to 120 pips on GJ. So that will be my first target. When price gets here and I also see price breaking the structure for another continuation to the downside, that is where I'll focus on seeking for a second target. But for now, this is my target. This is what I'm planning to do on GJ. This is what I'm planning to do on GJ. So let's move to the next pair. Let's look at GBP USD and see what is happening to in there. Okay. All right. So let's just get to the higher time frame and see. Let's get to the daily and see what is happening. Okay. So this is what is happening on a daily. So on a larger perspective, I could see some form of indecisiveness. Yes, I could see some form of indecisiveness on GBP USD. Let's see what is happening on the weekly. Maybe you give us okay. Let me quickly zoom into the monthly and see. Oh, okay. So the monthly, see, the reason why I always like looking at price on a higher time frame, maybe sometimes you go to the lower time frames and then you don't see anything beneficial, but the higher time frame will give you a picture, a clearer picture about what is going on. All right, so looking at the higher time frame, this is what is happening. All right, price just got here, failed to break the structure or make a higher high. So by this, price already broke the structure. And those of you who are a little bit advanced in this industry when it comes to price action, you know that as soon as price breaks a structure to the upside or to the downside, price should come back and retest that structure before it continues moving up or moving down. All right. So higher time frame is suggesting bullishness for GBP USD. All right. Just that you need to retrace into this area before it moves up. So higher time frame is looking bullish on a higher time frame. And let's move to the weekly too. So as you've gotten the idea on a monthly, so I mean, when price gets to this zone, that is where we will able to decide if it will respect it or break it. All right. So basically, it's bullish. Sorry, it's bearish on the weekly and on the daily too as well. So as you can see, it's still making higher lows and then lower lows. So I wouldn't want to look for buys or anything on a daily. All right. Let's move to the 4 hour and see, maybe the 4 hour can give us a different perspective. Okay. All right. Okay. So as you can see, a similar thing has happened in here as we discussed on Euro USD. Liquidity has been taken out. All right. There has been a liquidity taken out here. Liquidity has been taken out. So once liquidity has been taken out in here, it will be very difficult. It will become difficult. It will become difficult for market makers to break the zone. All right. And I mean, liquidity has also been taken out here. So once liquidity has been taken out here too, that makes this area a very strong area that should market makers break the zone, it will be very difficult. Even though they might break the zone, but it will be very difficult for them to break the zone. You see some level of you see some signals. So by seeing some signals, you see some consolidations. You see some consolidations before they break the zone. But just look at what is happening here. When this liquidity was taken out, you could see that this last down close candle prior to the break of this structure, price came a little bit into this area to respect it. All right. So going into next week, I'll be very particular about this level. And then this level. I wouldn't be surprised if I should see some level of consolidations in here, because most of the times it happens. All right. That is why always when you are analyzing your charts, you should be very reactive instead of being predictive. You can't just get up and say, okay, once there has been a break in market structure, price has come here, okay, let me take my buys. No, you wait. Go to lower time frames and see how price is reacting in this area. Once you see it, how price is reacting to this area, then you can decide, okay, price is failing to break this structure here, so let me take buy. So when you take a buy, you should have a first target. All right. And so in scenarios like this, your first target should be this area. This area should be your first target, because when price gets here, you have no idea what price will do next unless you see how price will react here. All right. Yeah. So please, let's just be very anxious when we are analyzing. Please unmute yourself. Sorry, mute yourself. Let's have a smooth session. Please, you mute yourself. Let's have a smooth session. When I'm done, and if there is more time, you can. If you have any question, you can ask. Let's move to the next pair. All right. So this is the odd USD. All right. So on odd USD, on a higher time frame. Let's see what is happening on a higher time frame. Let's see what is happening on a higher time frame. Okay, so as let me just delete my annotations. So as you can see on a higher time frame, price is looking bearish. Yeah, so because I mean there has been a bounce off here. Price has taken out liquidity here. This place. Liquidity has been taken out. And so I'm not expecting price market makers to get back in here very soon. Alright. This structure, price broke this structure, came back to retest the structure. Alright. And then we have another block formed here, broke the structure, came back to the structure. So currently price is here. You see some rejections here. That is on a higher time frame. So let's quickly go to the weekly and see what is happening. Okay. So as you can see, this low price failed to break this low. Price has failed to break this low. Says what it will be good if you can mention names so that okay. Actually, I don't even know who was even. So as you can see on a weekly, price has break this low. All right. So on a weekly, I'll be very much particular about this area. See how price is going to, because already as soon as price got here, it respected it. And then I mean you are seeing some bullishness up. So let's get to the daily and then see what is happening to on the daily. Okay. So see similar signatures as I previously talked about. There has been a liquidity taken out here, making this low a very strong area for market makers, or making this area a very strong area, which will prevent or which will make it difficult for market makers to break it. All right, making it difficult for market makers to break it. So as you can see, price just got here. Oh, price just got here. Price just got here, and then it broke the zone. Please, I think someone's has unmuted himself. Please, if you haven't unmuted, kindly do so. Okay. So as you can see, there has been a respect in this area, trying to push price to the upside. So I'm expecting price to push to the upside as I'm seeing this. All right. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame and see what is happening. Yes. So this is what is happening. So as you can see, there was some little bit of consolidation in here, moving up, coming back. So going into next week, I'll be very much particular about this area. All right. Even though I'm bullish on this, I wouldn't quickly jump into the trade, because this area, market makers can easily take out these lows. All right, can easily take out these lows, move into this zone, and before they rally to the upside. So going into next week, or going into this week, sorry, I'll be watching how price will react here. All right, before I take a decision. Yeah, so that is it for odd USD. Let's look at odd JPY. I think we have some few minutes to go. Let me just. Okay, so this is odd JPY. So let's just, because of time, let's just concentrate. So this is my expectation of JPY, because looking at a higher time frame, this is what has happened. Liquidity has been taken out in here, making this low very difficult for market makers to take it out. All right, so going into next week, I'll see how price will react once they get here. I'll really be very particular. I'll be observing to see how price will react once it get here. Once it gets here, I'll see how go to lower time frames and see how price will react, and then take a buy trade on it. So by taking a buy trade, this area is going to be my target, which is about almost 200 pips. Yeah, it's about 200 pips. So that is it for all JPY. So for all JPY going into next week, or sorry, this week, I'm bullish on all JPY. Let's quickly look at the last pair. And then we see what we can do next. So concerning the odd JPY, as you can see, on the daily time frame, we saw some little bit of consolidation in here. And then right after the consolidation, expansion happened. Right after expansion, what the next thing you should see is retracement. And so currently price is retracing. So now I'm not expecting price to get back into the consolidation area. At least if price should get back here, that will be fine. All right, or even if it gets into the consolidation area, I'll expect that it gets into the 50% of the consolidation area. So this is the 50% area. So either it will get here and then move up, or it will move into the 50% of the trade of this zone and then move up. So by taking a buy signal or a buy trade, my target is going to be this area. That'll be my first target, which if you measure the number of it, I always like looking at my target. If I analyze a pair and then the target is less than 50 pips, I'll just leave it. Yeah, I'll just leave it because it doesn't meet my plan. So looking at it, okay, that is almost about 200 pips from this level, and then from this level to is about 261 pips. So going into next week, I'll just see how we'll react here. All right, so I think that is all for what I'm expecting or what I'll be looking at this week. So we have just about 4 minutes to go. So if you have any question, kindly drop it. If you have a pair, please, time may not be on our side. You can text me privately. You can text me, or you can message me privately on Telegram, and then I'll look into the pair for you, and then I'll tell you my bias or what I think that pair will react this week. But if you have any question, you can drop it on the channel, on the chat box, or you can unmute yourself, bring out your question, and then let's look at it as fast as possible. Then we leave here. I'm waiting for your questions. If you have any question, just drop it in here, and I mean let's